Awesome. Thanks for having me. Again, Armani White here in Boston and Roxbury. Happy to be here. I think I connected with you all last October and did a talk. So I think since then we have won our charter amendment. So I work at the Center for Economic Democracy, and we are an organization that does work essentially to educate and inspire folks to think about new ways to organize our economy and how we relate to one another. We also like launching steward campaigns that build like democratic economies. And then we also redirect capital to like invest in communities and advance this work that we're doing. So where I come into this, I'm the director of municipal democracy at the Center for Economic Democracy. And like Emery just explained, I was basically led the campaign to amend our city's charter to institute, or to basically mandate participatory budgeting citywide, but also to give city councilors more say in the budget process. We have like our very mayor strong city. So yeah, so we did it. It was great. Took a lot of effort to make it happen. And so what I'm not sure if folks have access to the slides that are in the agenda. I could actually share my screen if I'm allowed.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. Boom. Okay, folks can see this. Okay, look at that. Who's that? Okay, that's me. Next one. So yeah, so we won it, right? We essentially organized an effort with grassroots organizations to change the city charter, starting basically in response to the uprisings in 2020 that were demanding defunding of police after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's murders. And that led, to basically a mass movement that led to city councilors deciding, okay, we should change the way that our budget process happens here, and also institute participatory budgeting to bring people into the process. And so we won it, right? And it took a lot of effort. Now what we won, the language actually says that by 2024, we'll have to create to further public engagement and democratic involvement in city spending. The city has to create by city ordinance an independent office of participatory budgeting with an external oversight board to create and oversee an equitable and binding decision-making process. So that means that right now, right? So we won the charter amendment that mandates this, but we actually have to draft the ordinance, which includes an external oversight board, the independent office by 2024. So we're in the process of doing that now. How we got here, just backing up a bit, the Center for Economic Democracy as an organization has been focused on doing this kind of work around direct democracy since 2010. We actually were part of our founder, Aaron Tanaka, was a part of founding the Youth Lead the Change process, which you can see here in 2013, which I believe is the longest standing youth participatory budgeting in the United States, right here in Boston. And right, so when doing that, the goal was to make sure that community organizations were a part of leading the process, and it wasn't just like a top-down experiment from like city government. So there was an attempt at co-creation, and that's what we did with this campaign. So we partnered with some of the organizations you see listed here: Families for Justice is Healing, which is an organization run by formerly incarcerated women from Boston, mostly Black and Brown, that are fighting for the abolition of the prison system, as well as folks in the Right to the City Boston Coalition, which is a Boston chapter of a nationwide coalition that advocates for working class people's right to the city around like jobs, housing, environmental justice, et cetera. And so together, we won this campaign, and with like the support from Center for Economic Democracy. And Emery was actually talking about like this kind of like larger concept of constitutional reform. That's something that we are at Center for Economic Democracy focused on, like on the federal level, and have been starting to have some conversations around like what would a left constitutional convention look like. If folks don't know, the right is organizing for a constitutional convention and have around like 26 states ratified in their strategy. So I can like talk about that more later, but so there is a need, I think, for us as a nation to think through this. But here in Boston and in Oregon, it seems we're doing it, in our cities, which is important. What else can I say about this? What we're doing to respond in Massachusetts doesn't necessarily tie right now into a federal strategy, but what we're doing in Boston ties into a statewide strategy where we have a number of different communities across the state that are doing participatory budgeting, with Boston being potentially one of the best ones. So if folks don't know, participatory budgeting is a democratic process in which community members come together to decide on how to spend like a part of the public budget. So we're really excited about what that'll look like here in Boston. And we're focused on essentially a couple of really important learnings, I guess, from our previous attempts at doing participatory budgeting. And so we're really focused this time around on making sure that there's a strong pool of funds to play with when we're talking about doing participatory budgeting, and maybe increasing that amount over time based off participation. We're focused on trying to make sure that we also can touch capital budgets and operating budgets. And then we also want the design of it to be co-constructed by grassroots organizations like the ones I mentioned, Families for Justice Healing, right to the city of Boston, so that it's not just something that's decided by the city, who may not have the best interest or hasn't done a good job already of including working class low-income people in their decision-making process. So the other three is that we want the office itself that'll facilitate this process to have a justice focus. And we hope that an oversight committee, will be formed through this amendment, will help to ensure that happens and to review the process. And again, we want there to be like a deep amount of funding to make sure that there's the translation support like we have here today, and access to this in the communities where it's not easy to normally participate in like city processes. So we're really excited about this and are like working with, like I said, this crew. I'm going to back up here. This crew of city councilors, District 7 City Councilor Tanya Anderson, at-large City Councilor Julia Mejia, and District 8 City Councilor Kenzie Bach, as well as some technical support organizations, like the Participatory Budgeting Project, Mass Budget. So yeah, really pumped to be working. And we actually are, the city has a new mayor who's really supportive of what we're doing too. And so we're hoping that this will be a smooth process and will just be a part of our city becoming just more democratic overall. So I think that's pretty much what I have prepared. I don't want to go too much into the weeds on Boston, but yeah, that's basically the brief overview about how we were able to win things here in Boston, like what we're focused on, and how we've kind of worked together with community organizations in the city, and city officials that are on our side to win this. Yeah, and this is our timeline for having our first participatory budgeting process. Cool.
And Armani, how are the vibes? How are people feeling about this? Like the people you're connected with,
Yeah, I think people are really excited about the opportunity to have direct say. People are, though, probably like how it is in Oregon, just really generally not in the best place with COVID, and community organizations that do the work to like support like our poorest and like most underrepresented people are just stressed and have a lot of work. So people are excited about this, and also people are wanting to see government do more quickly. So yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement here in Boston for this, and it's exciting even just to have you all in Oregon, places connecting about this. It's just, yeah, so, in the midst of a lot of bad news, this is a bright spot. So I hope y'all are feeling the same way about what you all are doing. I'm seeing some questions pop in the chat box.
Yeah, feel free. We can maybe go another minute or two if you want to answer a question quickly. How much weight do you think?
Yeah, how much weight do we think the coalition has? So the city budget process basically is a closed process between the mayor's office and like their Office of Budget Management for basically from January through April, and there's 2 or 3 months where the city council gets it. This is just a regular budget process, right? And so what we're hoping to do with participatory budgeting is, after the regular budget process, have our participatory budgeting process and have it be maybe a bit longer than the regular budget process, which is closed off. So our coalition of advocates, the people who make up the core of those 2 organizations I mentioned, but there's 50 plus organizations across the city that endorsed our campaign, the Yes on One campaign. So together we have a large say on the budget, and now we have more say because we have like our district city councilors and our at-large city councilors able to actually change the budget, like they can make line item amendments. That's part of the change that we won that wasn't possible before. So yeah, we have a lot of hope around how much we'll say we'll have. We're also like working very closely with the city councilors I mentioned to draft this ordinance and have it be filed, as well as the mayor. And so we're hoping that there will be a lot of collaboration both in the budget process, but we'll see. You know, we elected a really progressive mayor in Boston that folks don't know. So it's, you know, where we normally have someone who we were assuming is going to be like just, you know, someone that's hard to work with. We don't have that issue, or we don't foresee it being that way, which is exciting. So it's a lot to hope for.
No, that's so exciting. And thank you so much for that update. It sounds like you have a lot of champions in office right now, able to pull you through. Would you say that's a big part of this, or is it so much just because the grassroots is really just coming together and demanding this?
Yeah, the grassroots really came together on this one. We really, you know, we knocked a lot of doors, talked to a lot of people, had a really wide campaign. We got 88,000 people to vote for this, and like doubled the amounts of, like more than doubled the amounts of no's. So I think it was just a lot of people excitement around the budget, with also the fact that we have supportive city councilors. So I think it's good that we have that kind of partnership there. Yeah.
Awesome.